entertain
So
that.
moved.
Second?
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Item is approved. Or minutes are adopted. Item number 1 of new business, authorizing a write-off of water and sewer environmental services overdue and delinquent accounts for fiscal year 23. Ms. Standridge.
Yes, sir.
And do we
This
have the
is,
water and sewer people in here?
actually, I do not see anybody.
Okay.
I will try and answer all questions. We've done a pretty decent deep dive on the accounts that make up the write-off.
Thank you, sir.
If council recalls, we do this every year for financial statement close process, and that we will review all of our outstanding accounts receivable. And then what we consider to be any bad debts, we will then write off as far as not owning those receivables anymore. I will say that usually throughout the year, we will have collections on those written off bad debts. This last year, we had about $71,000 where we had previously written off an account and somebody actually paid us. This year, the total amount of the write-off is $460,956. That is down from prior year. Prior year, it was $638,000. Now, normally, previous to our COVID time, we ran at around $330,000 on average. So obviously, we're still up from that. I do think that this year, for the 2023 fiscal year, the total amount of accounts does still encompass some of the COVID accounts that we did not turn their water off. We did not write them off as quickly as we wanted to. We still try to do collections on them. I don't know if you will recall a lot of the collections activities that we did as far as trying to collect on some grant funding that the state allowed, working with customers to come up with payment plans. And so I think that the $460,000 amount does encompass some of those. We are finally writing off the last of the COVID money. And then also, I do think that this past year and the year before, we did have a couple of rate increases that will increase the total dollar amount of those accounts receivable. And so that will also be encompassed in that higher dollar amount.
Mr. Chairman, I know part of this probably would need to be with projects, and I wish Kimberly was in here, but I know we've started that meter installation project that we've been doing, but secondly, we also were trying to address some of these billing issues that we've had through things. I would like to see an update.
No, I had asked for the water and sewer people, including the
Yeah.
collections people, to be here.
I would like to see an update on where we are with the projects that we have implemented over the last year, haven't we, on where we are on. I know part of it's metering, but also on tackling some of these billing problems that we've had, Carly, when we can get that. And I don't know if that you can help me facilitate that.
Sure. So, so the general project that we are working on for metering is the AMI project.
Yeah.
And so I can definitely, I think I have a meeting on my calendar with Water and Sewer later this week on an update for AMI anyway. And so I can try and facilitate an update of that project for council. I will make a note of that.
And also the billing, because we had a lot of billing things we were working on. I think there's been some improvement, but I'd just like to know, and I'm sure the committee would like to know where we are on that, please.
Okay.
So, Vicki,
Yes.
would you put on our first finance committee after we come back
I did not.
to have a briefing from the water and sewer department's billing and collections folks
Okay.
on what's going on? Ms. Standard, you say, when you and I talked on the phone the other day, I thought 300,000 was generally where we ran on those issues.
330.
And you said during COVID, we did a jump to 600 and something?
So last year we started to write off the first of the COVID accounts, and that was 630,000. Yes, sir.
And you said you still collected 70-something thousand.
We still collected
Of the written
71,000
off.
of previously written off.
Previously written off.
Mm-hmm. That's
And,
correct.
and this year, we're looking at
460.
460.
Mhm.
Okay, I would, Mr. Crowe, I don't care if we do it on projects or finance,
Whatever.
but I want to hear about that.
Me too. I'm sure.
So, Vicky, yeah, Mr. Fail, you have a question?
Fail.
Yeah, just out of, for educational purposes, if someone has a business and they have more than one water account and they don't pay one, would we go to court on that, or would we just cut all their water off, or do we ignore it, or write it off?
Our best legal remedy for non-payment is removal service.
Would it ever be a number up here that they owed that we would try to collect civil?
We try all sorts of levels of collection.
They wouldn't be allowed to get a new account until they paid back, till they made the city whole. Again, we've talked about this, how do you go in and identify, we have some thoughts about, where this happens, but one of the struggles we have, and this is just one, and this is not the entire reason, is we do have a very transient population that comes in or out. And so, because of being a university city, that's gonna be one of the things we just run into. So if you don't pay your water bill and then you move back home to wherever USA, you're probably never going to have to really worry about that again. COVID layered in a whole new dynamic for us, even though most people can literally get their water bill paid by the federal government. So I think what we will continue to see, and I say think, I hate saying think, when you say think, it means you don't know, but I think we will begin to continue to see the stair step down back to that level of 300,000+ in write-offs. But we certainly will get you any information. The other thing I think you'll see when Kimberly and her team present to you on the AMI and billing, I think you'll see they have made leaps and strides on our sophistication in this area. And every day we're getting better and better, and I'm really proud of the work that they've done. So I think this time next year, and then the following years, we're gonna be able to give you better data, better information, better educated guesses, why we have these things.
All right, gentlemen, any other questions,
No, sir.
comments?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, Vicky, we've got that down on finance for the first, part of the first meeting after we come back. All right, item number 2, Project Gilmore Incentive Request Recommendation. Mr. Turner, you're listed up here, but I don't know that, not to hurt your feelings, I think we've been pretty well briefed on the project. We were briefed. Mr. Moore, is there any briefing you want to give on the counter offer that we made and that's been proposed to be accepted?
Yeah, I can just give a brief overview. From the presentation that Mr. Turner provided, we agreed at the 7-1 number over a 10-year lodging abatement and waiver of permit fees at approximately $355,000.
Okay.
And so everybody's in agreement. Obviously, the amenities that Mr. Turner presented in the previous package, that will be included in the development as well. The number of keys and all the kind of nuts and bolts details that he discussed in his presentation will be embedded in legal's development agreement. I believe y'all have already probably been talking, if I had to guess. So we feel very confident and comfortable. As I noted previously, Mr. Turner's been very transparent and it's super easy to work with, so it's made the process very, very good for us and for legal.
Okay. Gentlemen, any questions, comments?
I
Yeah, sure.
want to make a comment, but I think it's important in these conversations that there is no lodging tax abatement starting until other things that the city is doing over the years is rolling off, and I think that is important to note. And I want you to address that.
We'll
and
have
also
two
the-
agreements. We'll have the Indigo and Embassy agreement will roll off by the time this project begins and starts. And Ms. Standards and her team have reviewed that. And those are embedded in different agreements, so the timeline structure works very, very well for us and times well with Mr. Turner's project. The team feels like it will be a destination type project. Great benefit not only from a tourism perspective, but also even too for our local residents that can access the lake and some of the nice amenities that will be included. So we think it's a great tie-in too. I think Mr. Turner has some great vision in looking at the McWrights Ferry Road project and just kind of looking at that, the potential of that area. So I think it's timed very well.
It's an exciting addition to District
Yes.
3. in my
Very
opinion.
exciting.
So,
And looks fantastic from a design standpoint, which I
Absolutely.
don't think should be overlooked.
Mr. Turner, I want to thank you for your due diligence and your patience. Sometimes in these processes, people don't like to be asked questions or provide documents. You've gone above and beyond. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks for the whole team, man. I feel, I needed this side of that, but it's been great working with the whole team. So,
And good luck.
appreciate it.
Merry Christmas.
Yes, thanks.
This is
a big win for District 3, but it's an even bigger win for the city of Tuscaloosa. So,
And if the council's comfortable, we'll be happy to keep you posted as obviously as the process sequence moves forward. And then typically we'll do updates in construction and timelines, which is pretty natural for projects like this of this size.
Please.
So be happy to do that.
Okay. Is there any other questions or comments? Is there a motion to forward this to full council for consideration and vote?
So moved.
second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Item is forwarded to full council. There is, Ms. Sanders, was there a suspended rules item?
Can we get a motion to suspend the rules?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, rules are suspended. What's up?
So, earlier this week, we have received a final offer from the Alabama Department of Environmental Management on $1.25 million worth of loan forgiveness through our SRF program. So we're going to go in the way back machine, and we're going to go to November of 2021. The city council allowed us to apply for an SRF, the state revolving fund loan through ADEM for some of our water and sewer infrastructure projects. There was going to be about $16.5 million.
Was that the 2% money?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. So normally SRF loans they agreed to freeze their interest rate at 1.99% so that we could apply for this supplemental funding amount that they had that was then augmented by possible loan forgiveness by ARPA. We qualified for a piece of that loan forgiveness. However, that loan forgiveness paperwork and all of the machinations create a lot more of a paper trail requirement, I think, by ADEM to get it to us. We have just now received that in a grant agreement, and so we need to execute that grant agreement. Since we just got it after the publication of the City Council agenda, I'm asking for a suspended rules item to approve it, and then forward to Council for another suspended rules item this evening, which I agree is a messy way to do things. However, since Council is canceled for the next 3 weeks, and this has been in play for almost 2 years, I would like to get it available to our water and sewer department as quickly as possible. $1.25 million of funding coming in.
Coming back to us.
No, coming in. We
Coming in.
weren't even allowed to touch it beforehand.
Okay.
Gentlemen, are there any questions or comments or thoughts?
What is the deadline to respond to this, Carl? Or when do you have to do it?
We have asked ADEM and they have not answered.
Is it your feeling or your understanding based on past performance, we need to vote on this today? Do you think they'll give you a deadline that could be hard to meet
I think that
before we get together again?
to not be disparaging of any of my possible state colleagues, I would say that the sooner we can get this executed, the sooner we know that we will have 1.2 million available to us without any constraints.
Fair answer.
That's fair.
Okay, since I'm the suspended rules gremlin, I will eat this one. I will make a motion that we
Second.
forward this to council.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay.
Thank you.
Item is forwarded to council. Is there any other business to be brought before Finance Committee?
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Happy New Year.
All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.